Our next presentation is going to be presented by distinguished Toastmaster Patti Howard. Please welcome Patti as she facilitates serving clubs through area visits. Patti Howard.
I have a confession to make. My first area director visit, it was a failure. And do you know why? I didn't know that club. They were strangers to me, and I didn't know anything about them. How many of you have submitted an area report? Raise your hand. All right, a few of you. So let's review a couple things why we need to visit our clubs. First of all, you're there to help them ensure that club quality. You're their partner. You're the conduit between the district and from the club back to the district. You're going to be sharing things back and forth. And then you're going to provide the district leadership team a snapshot of that club. Besides that, you will come with a set of fresh eyes. I used to work for a company, contract management and healthcare. They did not allow us to stay in one hospital for more than 2, they might stretch it to 2.5 years. And that was because we would become oblivious to the things that were out of place. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to try and help the club identify some of those things. And most important, you're going to give them feedback, because that's our Toastmaster way of how we work. And then you're going to give that club's feedback back to the to the district. So our topics today is, what is a successful club visit? And we're going to talk about the outcomes. Well, first, how are you going to prepare? What do you do? What are some things that you can do? I'm listening. What can you do to prepare for that club visit?
You can look at the dashboard and see how they finished last year, such as how many club members do they have, how did they do on the club success plan, and you can also make sure you know the officers' names.
You can also look at the educational reports with the dash to see who completed awards, so you can congratulate them when you come into the meeting on such a wonderful job.
Excellent, excellent. I have several of those things listed on my next slide. You're going to look at the DCP history, that dashboard club. And as we use our acronyms, I'm going to try and make sure I say those out for you. Go to the TI listing and look for Find a Club. Go to their club website and check their Facebook page. Even look at that club membership list. Now, when we check on the DCP history, as we've said, you can see what kind of goals that they met last year, what kind of membership goals and administration goals. Help them understand those. Maybe it's a new set of officers, or maybe it's even a new club. You see, we're starting several new clubs this year, and you might be the person that's going to be helping them. So I'm going to help you ask better questions of them, and you'll be able to identify their strengths. Now, when you go to that history, you go to the dashboard, and up here at the very top, you can change the year, and you can go back, I think it's 14 or 15 years. You can go back and look and see how they're doing. Are they increasing? Are they decreasing? So those are things that you can look at on that dashboard. When you go to the TI website, look for Find a Club. And you're going to put that club number under the search options. And that's going to pull it right up. Here's what it looks like. Now, I've chosen a club that I'm part of because I didn't want to pick on somebody else. But when you look at this information, you're going to see, aha, they do have a website. They do have a Facebook page. Click this contact club. Did you get a response? You know, we have to make sure that that information is correct year to year, because maybe that person left. And making my calls this past week to try and get club officer list, a girl told me she had left that corporate club and was no longer a member, yet she was listed as the club secretary. And you don't want, if somebody tags that, to try and get information about that club, for it to get lost. Look at the meeting times. So when you call, you can verify, oh yes, it's the second and fourth Thursday from 12 noon. This section here looks a little dangerous. It says virtually, it gives a room number, and then it gives an address. That's a home address. And I'm working with TI to get that fixed because I don't need my home address listed there. But that's some information that you can check on and help them as you make that club visit and as you learn about them. Go to their website. Is it engaging? Is it accurate? Now, at this club, we use free toast hosts, so I'm going to use those examples. When you go through here, again, is the meeting information, is it the same that was on the Find a Club section? Click on Contact. Again, send that email. See if they give you a response back. Meet our members. This is always an exciting thing that I love to do. If they have 50 people in this picture, and over here, they only have 2, I'm going to begin to wonder, really? This must be a fake picture. If I'm a visitor looking to come to an organization, I want to go to one that's vibrant and has plenty of people there. I would really encourage you to ask if they have the free toast host to make sure at least all the officers are listed and they give a little bio about themselves. Now, some clubs in free toast hosts, they make custom pages. This particular club has a become a member. Look at that. See what's on there. This is our site. We've got this. All right. Yay, you're going to join us. Woo-hoo, woo-hoo. And then down below, we have a link so that they can complete an application. It tells it who to send it to. That's our club email address. We do a breakdown of our membership, of the dues that are needed to pay. And then they've even included and set up a PayPal account, which is also nice. So you can have people work through this and again, give them feedback. Tell them this is a great idea. If they have something there and some other custom pages that I have seen, they list their some of their education goals that they've met. Maybe they're a President Distinguished Club for the past 15 years. Maybe they list, and I've seen this, where they list the recognition that their members have done. Maybe they've won the speech contest, or maybe they've been a district director, an area director. Possibly they've been a Toastmaster of the Year. Again, look at their custom pages. And when you, hey, is so-and-so here? I see that they were the Toastmaster of the Year last year. Congratulate them. Let them know that you know something about them. Don't be that stranger to them. Now, also, some clubs have a Facebook page. This is where it really gets interesting. Again, they had the same picture on both of their pages. Some people like that. Some think, no, we should have something different. It doesn't matter. But is it engaging? Now, look at their posts. Do they post regularly? If it's not been added to in the last 2 years, maybe not a good idea to keep that public Facebook page. Or if they are posting frequently, look to see what they're posting about. Are they recognizing their members? How are they recognizing their members? And maybe just not in Toastmasters, but maybe they were, they gave a presentation at their workplace or at another organization. Those are great things for our Toastmasters to share with one another how we are out in the community and how our Toastmaster experience has helped us. Again, this helps you to alleviate who are these people? Who are these people? Because you are there to help them. The last thing you might want to look at before you go is that club membership list. There must be 20 columns on this spreadsheet. There are 4 that I think that are really great. The original joint date for that member. This way you get it to see, is this club, they have long-term, they have a good mix of long-term members and new members. What's their educational level that they have achieved? Here's the one drawback. If they've ever been a DTM, they don't list anything in pathways. So you don't know if they were a DTM from the legacy system, from the pathway system. But look on over, make sure that they are enrolled in pathways. 2 weeks ago, when I looked at the membership list, do you know that there had to be about 10 to 20 officers that were not enrolled in pathways? How can that be? I mean, so again, look at them. So when you're at that meeting, you can ask that person one-on-one, not in front of everybody, but, hey, Charisse, I see that you're the VP of education. What path are you taking? I'm not seeing that listed on the membership roster. Maybe there's a mistake on that roster. So just ask them, because if the VPE or the president and the secretary aren't enrolled in pathways, how can they take care of things as a base camp manager? They can't. So that's going to take away some of those achievement recognition that we want to give people. The other column that you want to look at is members have the opportunity to opt out when they when they're enrolled. The problem with that is on the education reports, you won't know the person. Now we'll list a club, a member number, but you won't know who it is. You'll know the club. But again, ask them, did you know that we can't see that? And that might make it hard for you to get any incentives that the district would offer. Again, those are some things to look at, to acquaint yourself. And maybe you won't do it the first time, and maybe your first visit with them is just to go and see. But when you're going to be doing the official club visit, have some of this in your background so that you can work with them. Preparation is the key to those successful club visits. Don't do it like I did that first time I just showed up. Who's everybody? Who's the president? I had the deer in the headlight looks, and it wasn't very encouraging to them. I'm glad through the years, though, that I have visited many times and I know the club well now. So again, make that preparation. So let's see, you're going to be setting up and during the club visits. So what do you need to do? Well, if you're going to set up the club visit, what are some things that you should do? I'm listening. You want to go visit this club, so what should you do?
Reach out to the club and find out what's a agreeable time for both of you. I can do this and you can do this. So let's find some alternatives and pick one.
Exactly. Good, good. Anybody else? How
Uh,
about, go
we-
ahead.
So we have been meeting virtually over the
Mhm.
past 2.5 years or so. Just make sure to confirm whether they are comfortable meeting in person. Some people love to meet in person these days after
Right?
a
Mhm.
hiatus of 2.5 years, but some people still prefer virtual. So check that, confirm that. That way there is no confusion,
Mhm.
and that way you can select a good venue instead of just having it on virtual Zoom.
Great, great. You might want to send them the blank AD report ahead of time so they know what you're going to be observing and giving them feedback on and asking them for all the officers to look at that and even answer some of those questions, because it's going to talk about what do you do for member orientation. You might not see that at that meeting if they have a new member and what they do. So that will give them a chance to provide that feedback so there's a great understanding of what they're doing. Also ask them, hey, would you like me to fill a role? Especially if they're a low member club. Participate with them. Always ask to have a few minutes at the end just to give some district announcements. Tell them, those present, your feedback on the meeting, and then also check to see if the officers can meet with you for a few minutes afterwards. Again, just to review that report, to get some of their input on some things that you might not have saw during the meeting. Now, during the meeting, what are you going to be looking for? Well, those first impressions. If it was virtually, and they said the meeting was going to start at 12 noon, and you were there at 5 till, was anybody there? Or did the room not open up till 12:05? If it's a meeting room, could you find the space? Or had they moved the room and you didn't know that? Again, do people talk to one another? Are they clustered up just with their buddies in this, and they're not observing any new guests that might come in or say hello to everybody? Those kind of first impressions, you want to make sure that you notate that. The member orientation. Again, you might not see it at that meeting. That's why you want to give them that report ahead of time so they can fill it in. Do they have a digital letter that they send out when members join so they understand what's going to be happening, that you're welcoming them? You know, there's a lot of things that go on within Toastmasters. You got to log into the TI site. If you have free Toast Host or Easy Speak, logging into those. If it's a corporate club and they do everything on a shared drive, how do they get to all that information? How are they going to sign up for roles for the meeting? Again, those are all things that we need to help make sure that they have that basic foundation so that they can be successful. Also check for mentors or proteges. Give them somebody to work with. How about their club culture? You know, some clubs are very formal. It's always Toastmaster this, Topics Master, General Evaluator, and some clubs never say that. They don't readdress when they're speaking, giving the title of that role. Some clubs, they're very informal. Some are formal. If there's a guest, observe how they feel about that. I have one club. I work at the Marion VA in Marion, Illinois, and there's a lot of rivalry between the branch members. Yes, we have the Air Force jokes versus the Marines, and there's a lot of that jabbing that goes back and forth. Again, when new people come in, the guests, how do they feel? And if there's that camaraderie, even outside, do they have social times away from their club meetings to bring people in? Someone told me the other day that their meeting starts from 12 to 1, but the Zoom opens up at 11:45 and stays open to 1:15. That way, they can start chit-chatting. Hey, how's this? How's that new grandbaby? But then if a new person joins that's not a member, they immediately break away and say, hey, I see Jan Dean has joined us. Hi, Jan. We're so glad to have you. How did you hear about our Toastmasters Club today? And engage with them right away so they feel very welcome. Observe that and give the club the feedback. How about the program planning and meeting organization? There's nothing worse than going to a meeting. Oh, who wants to do this? How many of you been to those kind of meetings? I'm afraid most of us have. And occasionally that happens. And as Toastmasters, we're flexible and we can fill in and make things happen. But for the most part, you want all the roles filled? Do they have themes that they have set up throughout the year? Do they have special events that they have created? Again, this is something that they can report back on that area director report to you. Membership strength. Oh boy, this is a good one. You know, when it's the same 8 people in those low member clubs, they get tired. They get beat up for doing the same thing over and over again. A suggestion that you might give them. See if you can't bring in some other Toastmasters, maybe from another meeting, from another club that meets at a different time, just to come in and help them. Make that suggestion. Or possibly meet with another club who meets at the same time. You know, on the District 8 website, under resources, there's a list of virtual meetings, and you can go to that and see if clubs can meet together. It doesn't have to be 2 low member clubs, or maybe just once a quarter or once a month, they meet with another club. It's really good to hear different voices, different presentations from different people, and even hearing different evaluations from others. So those are some things that you want to check with on their membership strength, because we all need that. Yes. Achievement is fundamental to the Toastmasters program. We have goals. You want each member to have a goal. You want your club to have a goal. And yes, area directors and division directors, and even the district, we have goals. We want to be distinguished. Who wants to be part of that blase club that just, no, I don't have time for that. I want to be where I can feel good that I am growing. I can see growth in others, and I can be a part of that. So again, make sure that they are, and give them some feedback on their and how they recognize their members' achievements. Well, the club visit outcomes. Yes. What kind of outcomes are you going to talk to them about? Well, again, you're going to talk about those successes. You have made friends. You can recognize them. You're going to make sure that they understand and implement the Toastmaster program, because maybe they're not aware. And as their area director, you're going to help them learn that. Make sure that they know that you're going to turn in this report and that they're going to get a copy of it. It goes back to the club president, but ask them to share it with all their officers and possibly the club members. What other ways can you add value to a club during your visit? Well, you can share with them the various resources that there are in Toastmasters. What is a resource that we can help them with if they're I want to call it a low-membered club? What's some things that we can offer to them?
You can offer them the list of different membership ideas on that tells them different ways that they can add members to their club.
Yes. We have several programs that we use that can bring in people. It's called a speechcraft. We can offer and give them suggestions about a speechcraft. In fact, we're going to be working with that as a district to help clubs with speechcrafts.
You can also tell them that they can join the district's meetup where people online can find their club, but they have to have someone who is ready to respond within 24 hours of a message.
Right. Yes, Raul.
You can also talk about Udly. I don't know how many have started using Udly, but that is an exceptionally useful online tool. We have used it. Several members have used it, and everyone has all praises for it. So it's something which is a self-help kind of a tool. You don't need another person to help you. It's a very big motivator for new people who want to test the waters, and it is very good.
In fact, at the next TLI, June the 22nd, I'll give it a little commercial break here. There is a session on Udly. How about, has anybody ever heard of a club coach? Again, someone specific, besides you as the area director, that will work with the leadership to evaluate and come up with things and identify one or two things that they can do differently. Also, this year, as a club growth director, I have been a VP PR. I'm not very creative, and I don't have the skills for all that. So I have to Google and see if I can make something. Well, I have found a few volunteers that's going to help clubs, if they give them at least a couple weeks, to help them come up with a flyer for their special event, or maybe their recognition of someone in their club. Share that with them. We don't have that in place yet. I've got some volunteers working. I don't have it available on the district website, a link, but we're going to get there. So let them know some things like that we can, as a district, we are there to help them. Might want to make sure that, when we got away from the manuals, they have some great series successful club series, a leadership series. And again, maybe going through those and having each officer have one of those projects out of those manuals, again, would help the club identify some things that would be helpful. Have you ever thought of giving that VPE, giving maybe once a month an educational moment? Again, something to help the club members understand the programs. Those are things. And of course, you're going to talk about the various district incentives. Again, so those are some things that you can bring as you bring things from the district to them, to make sure that they are aware of how to work together, how we're a part of a larger organization. A club is not out there just by themselves. We're here to support one another together. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you all, what are some things or one thing that you've learned that you can implement in your club visit? And at this time, I'm not going to ask you to say anything out loud. Throw it in the chat to me. I'd love to hear some things that you are going to do for your next club visit that maybe you hadn't thought of previously or hadn't realized that you could do. And if anybody has any questions, I can take questions now and we'll try and get those answered.
I have a question,
Okay.
and I think I'm throwing this out for anyone to answer.
Good.
Have you ever dealt with a club that has, let's say, 8 members, and it's been 8 members probably for the past 2 years or more? And basically, most of the people in the club are seasoned Toastmasters who have been around for years and years, to the point where it has really become a clique. They're comfortable with the meeting just the way it is. They really don't want to change. And regardless of what you may suggest, you can almost look in their faces as you are giving these suggestions and realize they're not going to follow up on this at all. If you've had that situation, how did you deal with it?
Rhonda, I see that you are just, you've got the glimmer in your eye and you have dealt with this.
Yes, I have. How I deal with that is I encourage them to keep going forward. I tell them that, if you bring in new members, that'll give you a chance to use those mentoring skills so that you can help someone out. Maybe your club should do a youth leadership project to help the community, because you all are all seasoned Toastmasters. And oh my God, there are just so many things you can do to help with the district. So I give them suggestions. They decide whether or not they're going to do it, and I leave them alone. Number one is to encourage them to do more and to get outside of their bubble. Does not mean that they will do it. And Toastmasters is happy if they continue year after year to do 8 to 9 members.
Thank you, Rhonda. We had a lot of clubs when Pathways came on. They were going to stay with the manuals. And because they didn't go forward, again, those clubs, unfortunately, I've seen them drop off. Okay, I'm going to check the chat here. Let's see here.
Hey, Patty, I have a quick question.
Yes.
And this is probably a joint question for you, Karen, Rhonda. We are entering the 100th year of Toastmasters this year, I believe.
Yes.
Have we, two questions there. Have we planned for any kind of celebration which we can talk to people about, saying, did you know that we are here for 100 years? So it's a time-tested approach, program, organization. So that might motivate people to take a look and join. And do we plan to have any special events to celebrate that 100th year?
We have talked about it. It's really started in October, which would be into the next year. But that is something that, yes, I'm thinking that we're going to start working on. Rhonda, are there any other thoughts that you would like to give towards that?
He was not talking about for the district. He was talking
Right,
about for
The
Toastmasters
TI.
International.
Mhm.
I am sure that when we go to the international convention that we will hear some information about the celebration for the next year, which will be the 100th year anniversary.
Mhm.
And we will pass that information to you guys as soon as we get back.
Okay. I think you're going to get access to the District Central. Some people will get it after the 15th of July. I thought when some people, if we turn names in, depends on when we turn names in, that they get access, right, Rhonda, or is there a certain date?
The division
everybody-
directors already have access,
So I thought,
and you can contact your division director and they can send you your membership list. But I put it on my to-do list to send all of the area directors their membership list. The list of current area directors that had turned in their nomination forms and their leadership agreement has gone to TI. It usually takes them 1 to 2 weeks to get that in
mhm.
because 125 districts are sending in their area directors at this time. So give Toastmasters a little time, but in the meantime, it is on my list that Monday or by Tuesday at the latest to send every area director their membership list, so you don't have to bother the division directors, or you can call the division directors, ask for it either way.
I see somebody, Sarah's put in that some clubs offer a full circle award. I'm holding a pin here. I know Division C has seen this quite a bit. For once you fill all the roles in a club, for the meeting roles, you get a pin. And that's kind of nice.
I've seen clubs give brand new members a package of Icebreakers mints when they give their icebreaker speech.
Oh, yeah. At a club, the Marion VA Toastmasters, we bought lanyards because we have to wear name tags. That was a Toastmaster lanyard. Again, that publicized that they were a Toastmaster. Anything else? Any other questions?
I want
sure-
to address that the officers are enrolled in pathways.
Mm-hmm.
Some officers have already attained their Distinguished Toastmaster Award, and they are not working in pathways. Does not mean that they are not making an excellent contribution to their club. As Patti said in her presentation, the VPE, the president and the secretary, that's the base camp manager and the backup base camp managers, they do not have to be enrolled in pathways to go in as base camp manager. But it's very hard for someone to explain pathways if they're not actually doing it. So at least pull the VPE aside if you don't see them in pathways, pull them to the side away from the rest of the members and say, you really should go in, pick a path, because the more you do it, the more you'll be able to teach other people how to do it.
Going to make sure that you put those reports in on the TI website. They are due. You have to have one in by November the 30th. And but we have an incentive for those. And Karen is going to share with those here coming up. But we do have an incentive for getting your reports in by September 30th for both the area and the division directors. Because this is really important. We need that feedback. We want to learn if there's a club that's thinking about closing, they've got 4 or 5 members, rather than just closing shop. Maybe they've tried everything. Okay, and they want to go ahead and close. Well, let's see if they wouldn't be a member in another club. Let's don't lose that member. So those are some things that we want to do to keep our membership numbers up.
What are Toastmaster mints?
Where are Toastmaster mints?
No, I said what?
What? I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
I've
Right.
never heard of Toastmasters mints. MINTS. Never heard of it. I said
Well,
the icebreaker mints that you can get in the grocery store.
oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, well, if there's no further questions, Rhonda, our the district director, you're back online.